Hi, this is Jill Trenholm, and I want to tell you about how I made my fairy bells. This one is Terra Verde. She is the Green Earth Fairy of Abundance, and she comes from the Verde River fairies near Sedona. And she brings in abundant blessings of love, peace, joy, and prosperity. Each of the fairies have a little ladybug on them, and this one's hidden back by the bow. And this is Luce d'Oro, the Golden Light Fairy of Kindness. She comes from the Oak Creek Fairies here in Sedona, and she brings in kindness through peace, love, and sharing. She's saying goodbye to her ladybug friend who is going off to hibernate for the winter. I had sculpted some other fairies for another sculpture of mine called Tree Man. And then I had a wine glass I was looking at that was a perfect shape for a skirt, and I thought, maybe I'll make a fairy with a dress. Hey, it could be a bell. So I filled it with clay. And next thing I know, I had sculpted a fairy, and she had a big skirt that would be perfect for a bell. For this fairy, I used a polymer clay. I had also sculpted several oak leaves for a tree man and acorns, and I thought I should make a skirt out of oak leaves, so that's what I did here. For this fairy, I used a clay called Monster Clay, which is quite waxy and clay-like at the same time, and I really enjoy working with that. I then took the clay models over to Jeff Christensen, who's a mold maker here in town, and he set up the wings and arms separately for injection molding. And here you can see he coated each fairy bell with a mold making material to start with. Jeff then mixes up plaster, and he covers the mold making material with that, and he separates the two halves this will be with little plastic divider pieces. The next step is to remove my sculpture from the mold making material, and it gets stuck. And Jeff is so good at it. He carefully takes it apart. And as you can see, the original piece actually goes through a pretty rough time, but that doesn't matter because the mold turned out perfectly. The next step is where Jeff paints hot wax into all the little crevices and then pours more hot wax into the whole mold. He's so good at this, so when she pops out, she looks like this. Then there's a little bit of wax cleanup to do. where we get the seams out and even out the bottom. I then take them to Sedona Bronze, which just happens to be right down the street, and Rob Myers takes over from there. The next step is called gating, where wax channels or sprues are attached to the fairy so the bronze can flow into the sculpture more easily. The waxes are then dipped into big vats of ceramic material until they're all coated, and they're also dusted with a silica sand so they get a crusty coat on top of them. And then it's pouring day. So here's Rob melting the bronze and making sure that it's the right temperature, and it's really, really hot. It's molten. Meanwhile, the ceramic molds have been put into a kiln and fired, so the outside becomes really hard and all the wax inside is melted out. So they take these directly from the kiln and set them up. Once all the ceramic molds are in place, they're ready to pour. So Rob, David, and Chicago work as a team and pour the molten bronze into the molds. Everybody here at Sedona Bronze does a really, really great job. Once they're poured, the bronze cools pretty quickly, so David starts to chip away on all the ceramic mold making material. They are then sandblasted and cleaned up, and this is what they look like in the raw bronze material. I was really curious what they were going to sound like when you ring them.
Yeah.
Yay! That's great. David does a fantastic job attaching the wings and the arms, and he also engraves the limited edition number on the inside. I then took my fairies over to my friend and master sculptor John Soderberg's studio, where I got a lesson on how to patina. A good patina requires a series of layering different chemicals and heat at the same time. John is an excellent teacher, and I'm really happy with the way these turned out. The last thing I did was give them a coat of wax so they're protected. The finishing touch was finding these little rosewood bases. They're perfect, so the fairies will rest on those. Now I'm really excited to go and sculpt more fairies.